Welcome to this new installment of the MS-DOS Crypt, or a new installment of the whole, because I did that live, but I'm gonna do it again because the commentary that I did was absolutely awful. So, without any further ado, it's Biomines from Apogee. This is often considered one of their lesser known games. This one is absolutely not Duke Nukem or Commander Cain or anything like that, but it's Snake fucking Logan. And see, one of the reasons why I retook this was because I kind of forgot the main character name, which was kind of embarrassing whenever I did the original video of this. This game ended up being made pretty much in its entirety by Jim Norwood, except that the game engine was taken straight from id Software. You can pretty much see it's the same interface in Commander Cain. Some of the loading screens are exactly the same as in Cain Dreams and everything. So this is why you're definitely gonna notice some similarities here and there. With that said, it's the gritty, adult version of Commander Cain. Instead of being a 8 or 10-year-old genius, you're an old burly man with a mustache and a mullet who has to shoot things in the face. I'd say Commander Cain is not a bad reference point for that. With that said, there's definitely much more emphasis in the gunplay into this game. For instance, here we kinda have to stop all of the time in order to shoot these enemies just on the ground that they're way too short to hit, so therefore you kinda have to crouch every time that you have to kill them, but that's okay because right now we have a machine gun, ho ho. Another thing that you're gonna use a lot in the game are grenades. This one is used in order to hit enemies that your gun otherwise will not be able to reach. It can also be used in order to kill some enemies that otherwise will be too strong for either your regular blaster or your machine gun. With that said, there are other weapons in the game which will allow you to damage the more resilient enemies out here. And you also have a super gun, but unfortunately this one just does more damage than your regular bullets, but it's not gonna go through the hides of the more dangerous enemies in the game. We're picking up more machine gun ammo, but you're probably noticing that it's not getting added up to our current ammo stash. Instead, your ammo in this game is stored through clips, which means that in order to get our other 90 bullets of machine gun, we're gonna have to shoot the rest of our ammo and then try to shoot in order to get access to the rest of our ammo. The firing or weapon system in this game is kind of wonky because this is a game where you have access to multiple weapons, but the big problem is that you cannot choose which weapon you can use or which grenades or anything that you're gonna use, so therefore you're always at the mercy of using whatever you currently have access to, which can create some complications. Unless, of course, that you're playing at hard, in which case it's gonna make it so that you're never gonna have any ammo whatsoever because the game will cut half of the game's ammo supply, and it also makes it so that the enemies have more health. I absolutely do not recommend that you play this game on hard. It's kind of suicidal. And hey, what do you know? Secret passages. And also, all of these doors require you to spend keys in order to open them. And it's not as if it's something that you're like, oh, it's a nice bonus and everything. Most of these doors have to be open because you never know what might lie behind them. Some of the time it's just gonna be points, but sometimes you can get more rare things like one-ups. And some other time you get items which are necessary for level progressions, like key cards or these crystal shards which will allow you to trigger certain switches in the game. For instance, we have to use a crystal shard in this level in order to go save the hostage. And since Snake Logan is a hero, he saves all the hostages. Okay, I know I'm being picky here, but I think it's really early for the game to be breaking the fourth wall here. Just like you can go and be like, oh, in each level, somebody like me is being held prisoner. So, with this key card handy, we can finally finish the level, but You might have remembered that we flicked a switch which activated an elevator earlier. This is where at the beginning of the level comes back into play. You do have to keep track all of those little symbols here and there because sometimes you can get goodies which are kind of out of the way. For instance, here the super gun. But weirdly enough, it's actually a downgrade from your plasma bolt because, like I said earlier, some enemies in the game will be immune to regular firepower, and that also includes ammo from the super gun. I'd say the super gun is more useful on hard difficulty because most of the time you either get this power up way too late for it to matter or, well, you don't get it at all, so it's kind of a sad state of affair no matter what. I mean, what's the use of a gun that deals 5 times the damage whenever these things already die in a single hit? But again, if you play on hard, these enemies now take 3 hits to kill, and that kinda changes things up a whole lot, and that makes it so that whenever you play on hard, it kinda makes the game even more of a grind that it kinda gets at some point. Of course, it's way too early to be debating, oh, this game kind of is a grind and everything, but yeah, it do get really mean later on, but the first 2 levels of episode 1 are kind of a piece of cake. Like, everything is self-explanatory. For instance, these red devils here cannot be killed whenever they're on fire, but hey, you can shoot them at any other time. And finally, these bombs, you do need explosive to kill them because you can shoot them with regular bullets. And this is where it kind of introduces some of the little problems that we're gonna have later on, especially like with ammo conservation and how you're going to use your grenades in order to do things. Right now, we are having a hefty amount of supplies to deal with, but unfortunately, later on, this is gonna change. So, therefore, I'd say this is probably the last freebie of a level that you'll get in the entire game. Even though, for the most part, Episode 1, again, is pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. Episode 2 kinda gets mean, and the third one, oof. Yeah, that's right. I'm just gonna go laugh at this giant alien face. He actually is a chump secretly. Earlier, I didn't really talk about the plasma bolts, but here they are. They are actually really useful because the fun thing with them is that they kill everything no matter what. These devils are on fire? Doesn't care, we can still kill them by shooting them. The bombs are immune to regular bomb fire? Doesn't care, we can still shoot them. And of course, because the plasma bolt is a much more threatening weapon than the regular machine gun, if you pick up machine guns later on, picking it up will not override the plasma bolt, you will still get to shoot them, and in fact, the best thing to do in this one level is just to stick on your plasma bolt and just kill everything with them. You can save some ammo by shooting grenades at these things, but this one particular rocket is kind of hard to destroy with bombs. I have no idea why, but the explosion collision detection seems kind of weird and iffy. And it's also kind of funny that you have 17 grenades for this level, because I'm not even sure that you can hurt the devils with grenades. Like I said, this is pretty much the last time in the whole game where you're gonna have like a giant amount of supplies to help you out. So anyway, Robopal. Oh boy, this guy does have an ugly mug. In fact, I'm kinda think that he will have been a better enemy than ally into this whole game, because I can't say that he's ever useful, or at the very least not on the normal difficulty, because most of the time that you're going to shoot enemies and everything, that's when he shoots, but by the time that you shoot something, typically they're already dead. It's like, by the time you saw him shoot a rocket, the enemy was already dead, and as far as I can tell, it cannot hurt enemies that your regular bullets are not able to hurt, and of course, to make matters worse, he disappears whenever he gets hurt. But that's okay, we don't need this chump, we have plasma bolts, and therefore we can just shoot it at the face of every single miscreant in this one level. Even the big aliens are kind of chump. It's just, Also, I kinda like how come they have no frames of animation whatsoever. I mean, of course, it's the whole Commander Cain engine, so it's not as if we have a giant range of movement available, but it's just like, alright, we are stoic. I'm not gonna breathe until that snake Logan is dead. Ah, no! Fuck! My practical plan of staying idle has done nothing to help me. Shit. There we go. Now this guy does not actually break the fourth wall whenever he's talking to you. He actually says things in a completely normal way. So congratulations, you're worth rescuing. Snake Logan will only save you if you don't break the fourth wall. Also, I have no clue if Commander Cain ended up having this feature or not, but if so, then boy, this has taught me a valuable lesson. In this game, you have a quick save and a quick load function, which kinda helps with the menu navigation in this game. If you press F7 and F8, this will allow you to just save or load your progress without having to go through any other menu, and therefore this is a really good thing. But that said, you know what's not a good thing? Landmines. This is the worst explosive weapon of the entire game, and to make matters worse, they take priority over everything else. You have 30 grenades that you could throw around? Too bad. You have 20 incendiary grenades that you could throw around? Too bad. You have to use all 10 landmines. And of course, in order to even use them, you kinda have to put yourself specifically in harm's way. And yeah, now we also get the big enemy that will absolutely ruin your day with the snakes. For a guy called Snake Logan, he sure doesn't handle snakes very well. And yeah, this is typically what happens whenever you encounter snakes. But that's okay, because whenever you die in this game, it doesn't reset the level state. So any enemies that you have killed will end up remaining dead. But that also means that the snake just has the liberty of spitting in our fucking face until the end of time. I can't really say that I'm a huge fan of this one level, but at least it introduces this power. With the most ominous music ever, you are invincible! This is not a triumphant jingle, like it just feels like you're secretly going through an immense amount of pain as you're being invincible and just shredding everything into your path. Like, I really don't know what was the music direction for this, I have to say. Even though I really like the music that Bobby Prince does and everything, Biomines is not one of his finest soundtracks. This one kinda lacks at some moments. With that said, however, this one song is really, really good. Definitely one of my favorites in the soundtrack. I don't know, there's a certain cockiness into this theme that really appeals to me. It kinda helps solidify how much of a badass he actually is. He might be a badass that absolutely nobody have heard of, but he's a low-key badass, and for that we're completely on board with him. Also, I have no clue what those hedgehog-like creatures are. Like, I'm not even sure how you're supposed to call these frickers, but yeah, they are frickers and I hate them. I know this makes me risk becoming a big senile person, but I hate these frickin' piles. So anyway, this level is going to introduce you to all of the logistic nightmares that you may end up having with this game, especially if you don't know some of the special moves that will allow you to gain an extra edge over your enemies. But first, whenever you see these colors, make sure that you take some time off and note them or put them into your little memory box so that you remember what it is later on. And yeah, while the incendiary grenade will be wonderful to use against all of these enemies, I just can't afford to use it because I need to keep my grenades for whenever I'm going to face more indestructible enemies like this one rocket above, as well than the previously seen slime pile. They are almost completely harmless, but you can't kill them with regular bullets, so therefore you need bombs or plasma bolts to kill them. So yeah, we're out of grenades and look what we've got all the way above. And even more issues here, but thankfully we should be able to get an edge with the following puzzle. This is where the colors that you've seen will matter. You have to enter these in the order that you saw them earlier, and don't do any mistakes, because any mistake will be punishable by death. And even then, this doesn't help me do anything concerning slimes and rockets, because I have a super gun, but again, this doesn't kill this enemy whatsoever, so I can't even say that this power-up is that useful for this one level. If anything, I probably will want plasma bolts instead. Also, I swear that this level can be rendered like impossible if you don't open up all of the right gates and everything. Well, not the gates, but the doors, because yeah, you can be sure that, again, I have left behind a very precious item that I need in order to finish the level. Yep, there it is. But I swear that this level also has more doors than there are keys, which, again, kind of feels really weird to me. So yeah, good news, the super gun is really good in order to deal against these enemies, but for the rest, we're completely shit out of luck. We can do absolutely nothing about all of these enemies. We can either dodge these enemies, or we can use the powers of the inbuilt cheats in here. Whenever you hold up, you will eventually hear this weird sound, but then if you push down, it will just trigger a limited invincibility move that will allow you to just ignore all of the possible harm. But you can also just shoot whenever you hear this weird sound, but while this blast is very damaging to your enemies, it will also damage you for 1 damage, so it's kind of a trade-off. Sometimes I like to use it whenever, you know, it's gonna kill a lot of annoying enemies all at once. Or, you know, for one slime, but I know there's like health a little further ahead down the road, so we might as well just expend all of our resources. Ever since that Biomines ended up being re-released as freeware, because, yeah, this game is now free nowadays, it came packaged with this int file that tells you all about these hidden moves that you can perform throughout the game. I've already mentioned 2 of these, and there's also 2 other moves that you're not gonna see me do until this one move. If you wiggle left and right repeatedly and then fire, you're going to shoot a whole bunch of fireballs all around you. It looks really clumsy, but with that said, it does do the job, and finally it doesn't harm you, so it kinda has some value going on with it. And then there's also an electron shield, but the problem is the readme file does not tell you how to do this move, and I have absolutely no idea how to do it. If somebody knows how to do this electron shield, I'd say, hey, please tell me about it, because I will actually like to know. Thank you. Now it's time to do the Mario. Whenever you touch these blocks, they will just fall under. I'm not 100% certain if they crush you whenever you stand underneath them, but I never really felt inclined to do the experiment. But yeah, we had a super gun, and even then it still got replaced instantly by the plasma bolt, and at this point, I still would rather have the plasma bolt over the super gun. I mean, if you're not gonna give anybody the ability to change your weapons at will, I'd say at the very least keep the best weapon of the game to have the big priority, and hey, this is what this game does, so at the very least kudos on that. You've picked the right weapon in order to give like the must-all dual priority in the game. And yeah, for the record, your other weapons still exist, but you just have to go through everything else. Oh boy. So yeah, remember what I said about the soundtrack in this game, about how, you know, this is not one of Bobby Prince's best soundtrack. Well, I'll let you judge by yourself. I acknowledge how annoying these snakes are, but I still want you to hear the music. I swear it's what matters the most right now. I'm sorry, but in terms of musical terms, this is what we call enough day. And unfortunately, it's not as if this is one of the better levels in the game. You have these big hulky sewer mutants, which are kind of annoying, but at least they're not too big of a threat. The plasma bolt that you get early on in the level will allow you to make quick work of them. And again, I'm talking about these weapons as if you've just gotten them, because, yeah, remember all of the good old super gun ammo that we had and everything? Between levels, you lose all of your weapons, so therefore, don't be fancy and be like, oh, I'm gonna try to hold off on my good guns and everything in order to try and achieve the best results. No, you lose everything, just use everything with wild abandon. Also, this is another level where we get forced with the landmines, and yeah, while most of the time you'd want to ignore landmines, you kinda have to use them in this one level because there are so many slime piles that you have no choice but to actually use them in order to go forward. 10 mines might look like it's a whole lot, but no, there are that many slime in the whole level. At some point, you'll eventually just end up cycling back to the old grenades, so don't go and be like, oh, I guess I'll try to avoid some of these. And sometimes, to make matters worse in this level, the slimes will often be going into the opposite direction, and you're just going to be stuck wallowing behind them very slowly and surely until that they reach the other edge of the level, so that you're going to be able to get them to turn back, and then they're gonna walk into the mines. Again, you should be glad that my first attempt at this video was so broken commentary-wise that I was like, oh, never mind, we just hit it here. So yeah, this is why this level is, yeah, great. And just before you were wondering, I was attempting like to sneak in front of them in order to try and possibly lay a landmine ahead of time in order to get a kill, but it was to no avail at this point. I was not trusting in my invulnerability frames enough. How messed up are these sewers whenever, you know, the slimes are like the most annoying threat in them? Like, forget about the big old king-ass mucus mutants or everything. No, it's just, mister, I'm in no hurry and I absolutely don't care that there's an armed burly man right in front of me. It's like, it's a big fuck-all world and we're all stuck in it. Of course you're going to say, well, they're not hurting me. All of the monsters that's hurting you right now are the big mutants, so these guys are no threat, but personally I'd say these guys are a threat to my free time. At this point I'd say it's almost worth it to just pick the nuke button and then just blast all of these fuckers ahead of time, because again, these slimes take forever to move around and therefore I hate them. I'm just imagining right now that this song which is playing right now is the Slime's theme song. We're here to waste your time. But hey, thankfully we have gone through the worst of it all. Okay, at least this guy shares my disdain of slimes and everything, so he's cool in my book. Oh yeah, this is totally what you should say, this is the right words to say to somebody who've been held captive by mutants. Oh, you're fucking weak, go take a Valium, you freaking weakling. Okay, maybe it's the right thing that Snake Logan ended up being forgotten about. But now now, the good news! I have grenades, which mean I can do this! I can finally kill these guys without waiting for them to go all the way to the other edge of the world and everything, so... Hooray! All of the good things have finally happened for us. We can finally kill or be killed. Okay, I was harsh on the previous level because the slimes did wonders in wasting your precious time and everything, but I'd say this level is almost equally bad, but I'd say it's not because of the slime per se, but it's just because of the way that the level just makes you do a shitload of backtracking and kind of just ends up making you run all over the place with really nothing interesting to do or anything. Also, these little ghostly slime are kind of better versions of the pink or purple slime demons that we saw in the first level, the one that jumps straight at you. Yeah, these guys do exactly the same thing. Also, make sure to not walk on the acid whenever it's still around. You have to wait for it to fully dissolve, because otherwise you're gonna take damage. At least, on the upside, this level has much better music and is essentially one of the good old catchy sounds that this game ends up having in its disposition for you. It's like, I'm always a big sucker for good old FM boppy synths, and this is totally what I like to hear. And yeah, before you wonder, the big sewer mutants are not the smartest tool in the shed. Took half an entire clip in the back and it didn't even bother turning back. But hey, at the very least, there's plasma bolts down here, so at the very least, we're always gonna have a weapon against the slimes. Which is good, because again, we are stuck with landmines. I had to pick up the landmines in order to even be able to pick up the machine gun, so... yeah, this is why sometimes this game forces you to take terrible decisions, and also... this is the perfect moment in the whole game to acknowledge how absolutely bad your hitbox is in this game. It doesn't really, stick to only the region of your feet. It goes all the way up until your actual gun. It's like, whenever you're onto these rotating sonic logs, yeah, you're better off just use the invulnerability in order to run through. And we also found the first of the secret level bonus gem. There was one in some other levels before that, so I missed out on them because I did not know where they are, but this is the first one that I found, and fun story, I found it completely on accident, because, yeah, at this point, who the hell will just jump randomly into the air at that one place? And yeah, we're gonna keep this health pack for later, because it could be useful. This level also gets pretty annoying just because of how many locked doors that there are, and how come most of the keys will be later on in the level, which means that you could end up missing out on some of the important items in this level. There's at least 2 or 3 doors in this level that you'll want to open up. One of them is a 1-up, the other one just end up having like a key card, the other one is a crystal shard, so yep, you've got your work cut out for you in the item collection department here. And yeah, also notice that we still haven't found the crystal shard, which right now we need into the layer of the level, which is right up above. And yeah, before you're wondering why I'm already backtracking, yeah, this is called not wanting to die. It's a very important aspect of video game playing. But you can also get good and not get hurt. Okay. I'm not even sure where this is going anymore. Also, time to take your little pen and sheet of paper to write this down. Once again, you're gonna need this. I mean, many of you probably can just memorize this shit just well, but I can't. I swear that my short-term memory is absolutely shot and I will not be able to remember something that you could tell me like about 5 seconds ago. Oh, the giant sheep is blue. Yeah. I swear that almost a quarter of this commentary track so far has just been me going, "Oh, I'm getting old," even though it's not how it goes. Oh, there's a health pack right near me, and I have no access to grenades. Don't mind if I do. I'm probably just going to use my big fuck-all laser in order to kill everything. The giant fuck-all laser is not really the most practical thing to use at time. Oh my god, I still have no keys in order to open these things. Like, I know that they're there, but it's just like, no, that doesn't make the wait any less difficult to go through. But hey, at the very least, it's time to have our good old merry invincibility team again. You have entered a zone where you can't possibly die, and yet where you can't possibly kill your enemies either. You see a gun, but unfortunately it points toward you. What could you do with such a tool? There's only one way forward, in the Twilight Zone. I don't know, this song, again, I know I'm harping again on this thing, but this is not a feel-good invincibility theme. This is way too sinister. And yeah, fun fact, if you actually mess up this color puzzle here, you do not get to die instantly, but there's no way out of here, so the outcome is pretty much exactly the same. So don't fuck up, because there's no way out of giant monster pit. And as a reward, so many points, all of the points in the world. And before you ask, what do points do in this game? They give you 1-ups, just like in Commander Cain. With a certain amount of points, you're going to end up having a certain amount of 1-ups, and then the value required in order to get your 1-up will double every single time. But that's okay, because that's a game where you can get a shitload of points just because of these collectibles. And also, in order to get all the way back to the hostage, you need to walk back like almost an entire minute. Which is why I said that, boy, this level is great in order to waste your time for no good reason. It's not as if there was anything left for you in order to kill. And yeah, this is why it's also much faster to just death warp in order to go back to the last checkpoint. It ironically takes way less time for you to die than it is to walk all the way back here, so, thanks for getting me, you freaking jerk. And now, it's time for the Upbeat Secret Level team! Wait a minute, that was not even a bonus level team, that was just the boss team. Because yeah, that's right, this game has boss encounters, which is something again that Commander Cain did not have, or at the very least, not in a straightforward shoot bang bang kind of way. The closest thing that the Commander Cain game had to a boss battle was Mortimer McGuire in the third game, and even then I'd say that was not exactly the most elaborate boss fight in the world or anything like this. I'd say this game does not really have elaborate boss fights, they never go further than, oh, just shoot the enemy in the face until it dies, but yeah, at the very least some of these fights are fun.
I am Skullman. I shall kill you and collect your skull as I have with all these others. Prepare to die, some creature. Wait, where are you going? I just wanted to fight. Where are you going, you freaking coward?
In a weird turn of event, Skullman is not even gonna start firing back at you until that you actually start shooting at it. And there we go, our Robopal was already gone. So yeah, this boss fight is pretty simple, although if you just rush along and do everything poorly, then you're just going to get hurt a bunch, but that's about all that this boss does. Just don't go underneath the hands and victory will be yours. The machine gun alone is just going to give you all of the hits that you need in order to win. Unless, of course, that you play this game at hard, in which case I can't really help you, because as a reminder, if you play this game on hard, you're setting yourself for suffering. And finally, an upbeat fanfare for once. Thank you, game. Skullman was here! I mean, I'm not really impressed. At this point, yeah, you're just saying, I went 2 feet outside my hideout. Are you impressed, people? And yeah, before you wonder, there's an enemy at the other side of the room here. Can you hurt it? Absolutely not. But can it hurt you? Absolutely. And yeah, spot the turret. Can you find it? I sure couldn't the first time that I played this. But yeah, here's the jerk that ended up shooting at us earlier, as well as a whole bunch of other things to blow up above. If you want level progress, you just want to go up. Otherwise, if you want to feel more like a daring explorer, feel free to go down, because this is where you're going to find the elusive green shard that absolutely doesn't seem accessible, but not without a trick. It turns out that there's a platform here. I probably fucked everything up, so I have to reload the game in order to make it happen. And before you wonder, you cannot save your game in the middle of your game or anything like that. Whenever you save your game, it's only gonna remember how much health you have, and finally, what is the current level that you're at. But it's always gonna start you at the beginning of a level, so it's like really old platformer game rules that we're dealing with here. This is why you should always save your game at the beginning of a level, but doing it afterwards is a complete waste of time, and it's only going to further set you back whenever you do it. So, don't. And there we go, it's the big wall of meat. Are you able to take on the meat denizens of the elevator? Also at this point, I feel like that the jumping grenades should not even like explode. They don't even need to explode in order to be a hindrance and hurt you. So, alright, if you want to go forward with the level, you can just go up here and fight your way through the minions here, but if you have the green shard, there's another way for you to follow. And of course, don't fuck this up, because these falling blocks never come back. So therefore, if you fail to make your way here, you're gonna have to take the ordinary route, or if you're stubborn and you really want to do it, you'll have to reload the whole game in order to try the whole thing again. Your reward for making it to this elusive area is that you're going to be able to get all of these weapons, and you pretty much avoid all of the fighting that you will have to do, because all the enemies are safely tucked behind the other walls here, with just this tiny place for you to shoot, but where the enemies cannot shoot you back. And finally, it's kind of pointless to give you all of this ammo, because again, you do not get to keep this ammo for the next level. But at least we get to get all of the 1-ups that we ended up wasting upon, while increasing our body count. Don't mind me, I just pushed the wrong button. That was completely by accident. So yeah, if you were on the other side of the world, it will be kind of an issue to deal with all of these turrets, but we get the free pass out. But hey, thankfully this level does go back to a more appealing formula in my book. The formula where you just kill everything that moves. With that said, you do get the introduction of a mean enemy that absolutely will make your life miserable. And it's this giant fuck-all robot. And by the way, don't ever think about colliding into it directly, because it's gonna kill you instantly. Even if you have invincibility, even if the enemy is currently in the midst of exploding, the giant robot will instantly kill you if you collide into it, making it quite the formidable opponent. as opposed to these parachuting droids which soak a lot of damage but are completely harmless. And finally the bouncing robots, which thankfully, while a little unpredictable, they still aren't a huge threat for you. But yeah, this is no man's land. But that's okay, I am no ordinary man. This is one of those sections where the game will kind of expect you to know about the invincibility trick, or, of course, if you have 2 health, you can just get poked by the spikes to take 1 damage, and then you go and get the health kit. Or maybe I'm not gonna do either of those things? Or maybe Snake Logan must rescue all the hostages before taking care of himself. And yeah, I guess if you stand around here, you will be able to just kill the flying ship, but it's completely pointless. You might as well just hurry up with the next level. And now, welcome to the lab entrance, which, unfortunately, I kind of will call the filler level. But this is definitely where you're going to be expected to use maneuvers like the invincibility in order to get through the flying grenades, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to shoot them down or do anything. So, yep, again, the knowledge of a random TXT file into the games folder is going to be your greatest ally. And yeah, you know the drill. Once you got the keys, you gotta check back if something is worth it. Spoiler, it wasn't. And yeah, if you're unsure about how many keys you have, you can press spacebar in order to bring up the status screen that will tell you how much items that you have, the kind of crystal shards that you have available, and all of that good old jazz. And yeah, I know this is kind of risky shooting around with the hostages around, but that's okay, they've seen worse. For instance, they saw me play this game. Ooh, that is absolutely brutal. But hey, thankfully, this one level actually does not, you know, make you do the whole run around in order to backtrack a full minute in order to get the hostage. So, yep, let's pat this level on the back for doing the right thing. And now it's time for the adventures of us and Robopal. Alright, bye Robopal. But yeah, let's just point out how many times that Robopal will actually successfully manage to hurt anything. For the record, it will only shoot whenever you shoot, if in case that you were wondering how it worked. Alright, shot a wall, shot a whole bunch of wall. Oh, I think it got 1 hit in so far. Alright, so far it's the best performance that Robopal ever had. Let's see if it can keep up. Can it shoot more enemies? I mean, right now I have the super gun, so I'd say I'm not holding my breath. And yeah, as far as I can tell, Robopal cannot hurt these enemies. His missiles work exactly like your bullets. Was that another shot? Maybe? Oh, it's like... If only the bullets were, you know, slightly better into hitting stuff that is low, because most of the time I swear he shoots over everything. And that's why he's completely useless. Alright, the enemy's dead. I'll help you, boss. Oh. Okay, finally, he managed to do something. Again, I don't think that the Robopal can shoot down the Fire Devil whenever they're on fire, because, as a reminder, your regular bullets or super gun bullets do not hurt them while in this form, but... Like, look at this slacker! He's flying and yet I somehow walk faster than he does! What a freaking slub! It's like, you need to be programmed better, Robopal. Because right now you're no pal of mine. That's okay, in case that there are birds in the sky, I will totally hurt them. Oh my god. Just watching this useless thing go around is just unwillingly sapping my will to live. Either that or it's way too cheerful, lab and... No, I give up. Robopal, go home, you're drunk. Kinda like this music. I'd say this music sounds maybe a little bit too upbeat. You are in the complex of Dr. Mangle, who has single-handedly created the mutant army in order to take over Metro City. Unfortunately, sometimes this game has a real problem with tone, as you can tell. Hello, nondescript hero, I will kill you! This is a formal invitation. Also, how considerate, he actually put himself in second into the whole take over the world plan. So yeah, while the lab entrance was kind of a filler level that didn't really, you know, do anything too fun or too great, this level definitely picks up the slack. It is the penultimate level of the game, and it sure is deserving of this moniker. This level can be really fucking mean. The lower section of the level is full of these little tracking beams that just shoot randomly left, right, or just straight into angles, and they kinda are a big pain in the ass to work around with, and there's also a good bit of giant tanks, and finally most of the upper level is going to be filled up with turrets, and oh, okay, I guess this guy is also up here too. Thankfully, the super gun kind of makes short work of him. This is the rare time where I'd say having the super gun around is a clear upgrade over the plasma bolt to kill the big boss of Burly Boodle. Wait, what does that even mean? But yeah, it's also worth it to keep an eye out on all of these turrets, but at least whenever they're mounted onto some sort of shock mount or whatever the hell they are, you can actually duck in order to dodge these projectiles, because the turrets will always rear upwards in order to do their bidding. Also, you probably have noticed that downward there was a shitload of bouncing robots that went right. Well, they're kind of happily bouncing into one tiny alcove where I'm gonna have to wander in order to do my bidding, so therefore wish me luck. Yeah, down here is kind of a big fuckfest now. There's literally like about 10 enemies down here, just bouncing around randomly at the speed of sound. So yeah, this is why we're gonna need invincibility, but we're gonna have to time it right here. Alright? Ah! Don't mind me, that was just the Rambo method. That was the only way that things could have been done. And also, good thing that we just ran out of super gun ammo, because we're replacing it just in time with the plasma bolts. But yeah, there's also a lot to see and do in this level. Right now we have 2 shards to play around with, and needed to say we have to use both of them. Okay, alright. At this point I'd say I'm not teaching anything to anyone, but yeah, the red crystal shard gives you access to this color puzzle, which may or may not be useful, because at this point I will set myself on such a course of action that going there is going to be a complete waste of time, and also in order to solve the puzzle, you have to do it in the vicinity of an invincible turret firing from upward, and therefore it's completely not worth your time or effort in order to get. Right now we have more than enough ammo in order to do everything that we need. All of these wimpy turrets die in only 1 plasma bolt. And later on, there's also going to be invincibility in order to finish doing all of the work downstairs, because there's also a bunch of dangerous robots down here, but that's okay, because, again, we're armed to the teeth. And by that I mean, no, the only reason why we're going to prevail... I was going to say it's because of Robopal, but he just got desiccated out of existence. If only Robopal will at least protect you from 1 shot. I'd say it probably will be worth it then, but no, he doesn't even do that. It's just like you get shot, and whenever the going gets hard, bye-bye, it's time for me to be useless. So yeah, now it's time for these kind of annoying spike traps. Oh, never mind, there was absolutely no invincibility. Okay, I guess I was misremembering things. These spikes will hurt you whenever you're walking on them as they're poking out. And yeah, I guess that was the reason why I said, oh, I'll pick up the invincibility in order to go do my business down here. Because yeah, that was the invincibility that we were dealing with. The one that's homemade. And behold, the hardest hostage to get in this entire episode. Again, because of these frickin' turrets. Oh, I've learned the way this creep works. How? It's like, it's not as if you've even met him or anything. It's just like, nah, whatever. Oh, I must know how this thing works. Oh, hey. But hey, the good thing with these robots is that they're too stupid to turn direction. So if you can get the ball behind them, then everything will be fine and dandy. But yeah, this is why I was saying, yeah, the color puzzle in this one level is not really worth it. We're back at the end of the level, all that we need is to slam the keycard right in, and yeah, there's absolutely nothing else to do. We might as well just do things the way that they are intended. It's time to dust off the boss of this episode, Dr. Mangle. But first, a brain workout. Can you remember these colors? If you get the colors wrong here, spoiler, you won't actually die, but you almost will wish that you'll die, because then you're gonna have to kill the boss with absolutely no supplies whatsoever. Come on, you're not afraid that it's my time to die, Oh, hi! So yeah, here's Dr. Mangle. He sure is a looker. And yeah, there's not a whole lot in terms of strategy to deal with him, unless that you do the color puzzle, in which case you're finally gonna have some supplies in order to deal against him. Oh, Robopal! Alright, now the time has come. But no, the real prize that you get out of this are the landmines. These will be what you'll use mainly in order to kill this boss. And also you get a strange key, which will allow you to get the leap over to him, and you're going to be able to just dodge his charge, because otherwise you can jump over him or anything, and in fact that was kind of a terrible idea. And since Dr. Mangle's firing is completely random, yeah, there's not a whole lot that you can do in order to try and dodge his projectile. But yeah, you've seen how much of a number that the landmines end up doing on him. So here's your strategy in a nutshell. Just let him duck underneath you, dump a shitload of mines, and then just rush to safety under the door. Or, I guess, just die like a shit in here, but that's okay at this point. We have over 10 lives, so we can just tank everything that we ever wanted to tank.
It looks like you killed me. Congratulations.
Oh, now you did this only for wealth and power, and not because you were totally having a fun time creating all of these mutants in order to kill everyone. It's like, no, you have absolutely, oh, you must stop Cain to stop this madness that I have caused. Oh, goodbye, Snake Logan, hack, and good luck, you will need it. Also pictured here, a person who absolutely fucking loves their job. Like, I'm sorry, but this is why Snake Logan is already a much better protagonist than Duke Nukem ever was. And it's just like... It's like, whenever I first streamed this, I was just taken aghast by the shit-eating grin whenever he's on his plane, but his boar face is also really good, too. It's like, kudos on all of the good old facial expressions that you've given your big guy. Also, I have no clue who Leon Hoye is, but hey, I sure did well in almost matching his mighty score. And yeah, just like Commander Cain, the high score table is exactly in the same style. But yeah, anyway, that'll be it for the first episode of Biomines. 2 more to go, and stay tuned as we see the rest of the adventures of Snake Logan.